Hello, and welcome to another episode of my prediction series. In this episode, I'll be talking about the Republican contest that's still going on. And I'll be talking about the two primaries that are being held on May 10th in the states of Nebraska and West Virginia. So, first I'll start with Nebraska. Nebraska is a fairly small state. It's not very populous. And I would have said that Nebraska likely might have gone towards Cruz. However, Cruz has suspended his campaign. So now it's between John Kasich and Donald Trump. So Kasich has been in the primaries for quite some time. He's been steadily going right along since pretty much the beginning. And he did decently in a few states. He won Ohio. Which was expected. He's the governor of Ohio. But he hasn't really registered terribly huge wins in these contests around the country. And since so many of these contests in the Republican Party are winner-take-all, it's a big deal if you don't win because you don't get any or very many delegates. So for the state of Nebraska, with the primary being held there on May 10th, my prediction is that Donald Trump wins. And I predict he wins pretty big by easily 20 or 30% more than John Kasich. I just don't see Kasich, even in a two-person contest, beating Donald Trump at this point. He's got the momentum. Cruz has dropped out. It's not inevitable, but it's certainly highly probable that Donald Trump will get enough delegates to become the Republican nominee on the first ballot at the convention. So, being held later in the year, during the summer. So, my prediction is that Donald Trump will win. Kasich will get second in Nebraska. Now, moving on to West Virginia. Same deal. West Virginia is also not that populous of a state. It doesn't have that many delegates to apportion compared to some of the other states that are out there in the primary process, but it's still definitely a state worth discussing in terms of who they're going to be supporting, not only in this primary season, but also potentially in the general election. And it's not very clear that they'll support Donald Trump in the general election, but I do think that Trump will be the victor on May 10th for the West Virginia primary against John Kasich, seeing as Kasich is the only candidate that still has an active campaign other than Trump, as Cruz has suspended his campaign. So, based on the demographics of West Virginia, based on the sort of populist rhetoric and tone to Donald Trump's campaign thus far, I think that he will definitely appeal to the demographics that will be voting in the Republican primary in West Virginia on the 10th of May. So my prediction for both Nebraska and West Virginia is that Donald Trump wins, that he wins by 20% or more over John Kasich, whatever John Kasich gets, and that John Kasich gets second in both of those contests, and that Ted Cruz gets third. Or really, I mean, he's probably still on the ballot, but I think he suspended his campaign. So, it bears mentioning that Cruz might get some votes, but I don't think he's going to win in either Nebraska or West Virginia, that's for sure, since he suspended his campaign. So that leaves Trump and Kasich as the main contenders for the races that are remaining until Kasich drops out. If Kasich goes all the way to the convention, that's his choice, he can. But so far, my prediction is, and I think it will hold, because the momentum and the support right now is definitely coalescing around him, is Donald Trump is my prediction for who will win in Nebraska and West Virginia. And I will be very surprised if John Kasich pulls out a win in Nebraska or West Virginia. I will be shocked, very shocked, because he hasn't managed to win in any of the contests other than Ohio. So it would be a big deal for John Kasich to win in either Nebraska or West Virginia, because then he'd get some more delegates. And he would also be able to bolster the argument that he is actually a better contender in the general election than Donald Trump if, given all the massive support that Trump has, Kasich somehow manages to win in Nebraska or West Virginia or some of these other contests coming up. But this video is about Nebraska and West Virginia for the Republican primary, and my prediction is Trump wins and Kasich gets second. And yeah, I'm fairly confident in both of those predictions. Thank you for watching. It's been a great and interesting election season so far.